New Apple products leaked, and it's getting really weird.
Welcome to the All Future Podcast, where we talk all things Apple, tech, AI, humanoid robots throughout the week. And I think we're probably hitting all of those in this podcast episode, which is somewhat exciting.
The trifecta of topics.
If you've been watching this, we really appreciate it. We just passed 10,000 subscribers, which is very exciting. And today, we're talking about a number of kind of crazy Apple products that have leaked somewhat through patents and somewhat through rumor of things that they're still working on. One of them I'm excited to talk about is autonomous driving, because they were heavily working on this with their Project Titan project.
It's back.
It is reportedly back. They decided $10 billion shouldn't go to waste that they spent on that. But first off, we have a patent that could be giving us a little bit of a hint at what this tabletop robot could be. So if you're unfamiliar, there's rumors that Apple is looking into the future on some future version of a full AI voice assistant product robot. Long term, it's probably a humanoid form, but to start, it's probably going to be some sort of tabletop with an articulating arm. People are just picturing an iPad with an arm that can follow you around in a room and talk to you and all this stuff. But this first patent came out, and it really looks like it just relates to a charging thing and an arm that can articulate there. But this could be somewhat of a technology that we see in that, especially if they make that tabletop robot interface with an actual iPad or a phone that connects via MagSafe. But what do you think about this first design?
Seems cool. I mean, I kind of want it just as what the patent is actually talking about. Is this a charger? Like it looks good. I think it'd be good for like an iPad kind of desktop setup, if it was set up like this. I've always maintained that the ideal form factor for this robot is the G4 iMac. Mm-hmm. That's what they need to make this thing look like. And this is close to that. It's not exactly that. It's kind of like a combination between the G4 and kind of the hinge mechanism on newer iMacs maybe. So, but this seems cool. And I, as always, am immensely skeptical of Apple even making any robots like this ever. But if they're going to do it, they got to start patenting the idea of the physical mechanism of it. Mm-hmm. And this definitely could be it.
To me, this kind of looks like just an updated version of AirPower. Well, an actually released version of AirPower.
So not an update, just one that exists.
Yeah, because I've seen things like this. This looks like it's probably like 3 charging pucks lined up, and then it has all sorts of functionality. You can line it up however you want, but then you could fold it up, and maybe it's fairly small for traveling, and then that enables them to, in the future, get rid of ports on phones, which we talked about in another episode. But yeah, definitely interesting to see this. I imagine whatever hinge mechanism this is could end up in something like that tabletop robot. But as you mentioned, this seems to be more related to just charging. But in this article, there are over 85 patents that Apple recently put together, and they mention a few others. And a few of them have to do with autonomous driving. So Apple's patent discusses a system designed to support autonomous vehicles by providing improved services through cloud communication. So it would include things like smart parking, over-the-air updates for vehicle software, real-time traffic and weather alerts, entertainment options, and high-definition map updates. So if you're unfamiliar, I have a Tesla channel, or it is mainly Tesla, but I talk all EVs.
You have an EV channel.
Yeah, it's an EV channel. But so I'm very familiar with this space, and I'm going to talk about it quite a bit in this episode because
I'm excited.
Because this is very interesting to me and is something I've actually been speculating that Apple would do for quite a long time. Apple has CarPlay, and if you look across the vast majority of automakers, they are terrible at software.
So bad.
So bad at software.
So bad that I won't even consider a vehicle that does not have CarPlay. Mm-hmm. I'm just not even going to look at it.
Yes. So I would argue that companies like Tesla and Rivian, who do not have CarPlay, actually have good enough software to where you don't have to have it. There are some things you will miss, but you don't have to have it because their software is very good and integrated, their app is good, and things are always improving. But when you go for any other company, like if you're going to buy a GM new car, a Toyota, Ford, for the most part, it's like they not only should you make sure it has CarPlay, but they are designing it so that you use CarPlay or Android Auto, of course. And so this makes a lot of sense to me because this is like Apple's next step in CarPlay to keep these automakers using their stuff and probably paying them to do it, because these automakers are going to be like, okay, well, we have to compete in all these other ways that we're seeing these companies that have a whole ecosystem like Tesla and Rivian. We have to compete there. So Apple, can you do this for us? And Apple is going to be like, yes, of course we can do that. We already saw that. I don't know if you remember, I think it was like a year or two ago, they demoed their like updated CarPlay displays that could take over all the displays in a vehicle. Like I think BMW is one of the first they're going to do there, and then you can customize it. So very cool there, but I'm not surprised by this at all. And this, I'm excited to see this, because Apple worked for about 10 years on their Project Titan car, spent about $10 billion, and then just ended up laying off over 600 employees, and nothing was seen from that project.
Yeah, so I mean, there has to be a ton of tech they developed for that, that they have patents on, or that we're going to find out they have patents on, that has a value, right, that they can give to people. And I think you're pretty spot on there. A lot of this seems like, I don't think this means Apple is going to get back in to try to make a car.
Yeah.
They're going to go, oh, well, we developed all these software and technology and all this kind of stuff. We can make that part of our auto package or whatever it is, that either it's paid for on the manufacturer side or even on the user side in some kind of version of it, right? Like you can pay some subscription thing to get better stuff loaded into your car through Apple or something like that. Who knows where this would all go. But from your perspective then, right? Like, do you see that as kind of where this, I don't know, cars as tech products kind of leads, right? Which is the path we've been going down, right? Which is certainly the path that Tesla is. Rivian, I think, as well. And our traditional automakers, even, they seem so far behind on it, like massively far behind. Do they even want to do it at all, right? Like, is it, the future is actually tech companies coming in and controlling the infotainment and possibly more systems in your vehicle?
I think that is, when you look at like Polestar, they make great cars, and they were originally kind of like a subsidiary of Volvo. Technically, they're different companies even now, even though their cars are quite similar, like have a lot of design cues that are the same. But their system is based on Android Automotive, which is like the updated, not just Android Auto that links with your phone. The entire system is Google. So I absolutely think that's going to be the future here. We're going to have companies that want to control everything, which makes sense because it's the Apple approach. You control everything from the ground up and make sure that your product is designed with your own software. But for companies like Ford and GM and these other companies that have traditionally not needed to really do software that great, I think absolutely we're going to see that. We're going to see Apple and Google. I think there's even cars that use like Alexa to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
So I think tech companies infiltrating that space is definitely going to be the case. And they're, instead of making their own cars, they will control the software, which arguably is the better option for them.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, manufacturers. And I know like there's been talk, manufacturers go kind of back and forth, and there's different ones are like, oh, we're not going to do CarPlay or Apple or Android Auto anymore or whatever. And then they kind of waffle on and all those kind of things. Yeah. But
I think GM has said they're going to get rid of it.
They're trying to get rid of it. Yeah, we'll see if that actually happens. Because again, like, there's a famous kind of saying that like cup holders sell cars, and that's kind of true, man. Like when you test drive a lot of vehicles, right? Yeah. You're like, oh, well, car works, right? So like, what do I really care about here? What's the kind of location of things that I like? I always think about, I hate a vehicle that's display system is low. Like somewhere kind of in the traditional radio spot. I like them when they're sitting above like the dash line, so you have that screen right there. It seems like a safer place to put it to me. I can like glance and see what's going on easier, right? Yeah. So like, so it's maybe not as, mundane as a cup holder placement, but that is the kind of things you think about. It's like, oh, like where, like I got to live with this thing, right? And for a lot of people, it's a massive investment, right? Or years, even if you're like leasing, like it's a years long kind of thing that you're going to have this vehicle. And yeah, like these things sell cars, I think. I absolutely think they do. I think it's crazy for companies not to go with that. The other problem you have is that like, how much does an iPhone and its software update and change, and Android, within, let's say, 5 years, like the length of a standard car lease, right? A lot. Yeah. Right. And if that doesn't exist, you're telling me the automakers are going to like update their systems? They absolutely were not. Like the auto company's systems already seem ancient and archaic.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years after I get this brand new vehicle, this thing is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, come on, guys, just use the Apple stuff or Android or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
It seems like that's where it's going. Because like even most recently, I just did a review of the Kia EV9. It's still being worked on, so it'll come out probably later this week or next week. But it's a great new Kia 3-row SUV. One of the best. I think it's the only 3-row SUV in its price point. But I used the built-in maps system when I was using it. It was like, oh my gosh. This is from like 2002.
Yeah.
They have not done anything. And then you just instead connect your phone with wireless CarPlay and you have Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, whatever you want. And that's absolutely what these companies are doing. So it's just the next step for Apple to say, okay, well, you can do CarPlay, but let's actually partner with these automakers and let's give them some autonomous function. Which, one more thing on that, and then we'll get back to Apple's new patents this week, which is that on the autonomous side of things, Tesla just finally released a feature that has been kind of on the shelf for quite a long time. So I'll take you down a little journey here.
Okay.
A little story. So I want you to picture that you go to Caltech.
Okay.
You spend 8 years.
Nice school.
Working very hard in college.
To get like a master's in engineering. It took me 8 because I partied too much early on. All right. I mean, that checks out.
Yeah. So you're very much engrossed. You miss your friends and your family.
like I'm just like a sad guy. I'm just studying engineering at Caltech. That's what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah. Multiple girlfriends come and go because you're too focused on your
only got time for
work.
My Caltech engineering. Okay. Like, where are we going to land with this, man? I'm excited. Okay.
You work so hard on your finals.
All right.
Stressful.
All right.
You bounce around jobs for 10 years. You're trying to finally build a life
so
for yourself.
I do 10 years at Caltech and then 10 years of like struggling at
You're
entry
20
level.
years deep, yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And then you become a product manager and you devote 5 years of your life to making a feature that involves autonomy and allowing this future autonomous feature to be delivered to customers.
All right. I've worked hard on it. I've sacrificed a lot. I feel proud of my autonomous feature, right? Is that what I'm thinking? Okay.
Yeah. Cool. And then you know, people keep making promises about this feature, but it keeps getting delayed.
But it's not my fault. The engineering's good.
Yeah, the engineering's solid. You work 80 hours a week to make this finally possible. It's finally about to get to be released.
All right.
It's going to come to thousands of cars, and then your boss, Elon Musk, names it, and he calls it ass.
Is ass really the name of this thing?
That is the official launch name of the new feature from Tesla called Actually Smart Summon.
Actually Smart Summon.
And the history of that is because they've had a feature called Smart Summon.
I thought the car already would come to you, right? Yeah.
But it was not the best.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't actually that smart. So this is the actually smart version, and just ensure that they could do that acronym.
There has to be, I have no factual knowledge about this at all. But there has to be just a massive brain drain happening at Elon-owned companies because of nonsense like this, right? Like, I was like, why would I want to work for this asshole, right? Like, why, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like, this is a child. Why is this guy a child, right?
Yeah, like, maybe it keeps people happy. Maybe they're like, oh, I worked so hard, but it's funny. At the same time, I don't know. I would not.
It's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. That's the thing. It's not funny. It's like a what I would think was funny if I was in 3rd grade, right? Like this is not actually funny. It's not fun. It's not actually like, it's not adding like whimsy to the vehicle or something like that. It's just adding something that almost universally is thought of as lame. Like, I'm like, this is lame. Like, why would you do this? This is not cool. Like, so yeah, I'll talk trash about Tesla, so you don't have to like ruin your audience on your EV channel. But I'm like, come on, man, it's so stupid.
No, when I cover things like this, and there's been other ones, I honestly just talk about the name. Like, I don't even talk about the joke acronym. You know?
Okay, all right.
So because it is a cool feature that they're delivering.
Yeah, I'm glad this feature. And look, those cars are. I think a lot of that's so cool. All the technology in them. I think it's such a net positive to push forward the car industry into electric vehicles and autonomy vehicles. autonomous vehicles. But it's like when I complain about when the AI people do something stupid.
Yeah.
That lets people it's like you're giving ammunition to the critics that want to bury this stuff, right? Like why do that? Why do that at all? Like it helps you zero. Like you are not selling one more car for this, right? Like you're not advancing this technology. You're not adding to like the mind share of people thinking your vehicle is cooler because of this, right? This has zero net benefit besides for your Adderall brain to go, oh, that's funny. Like that's insane, man. That's insane.
Yeah. So I'll just go into the details of this product.
Oh, okay, yeah,
now.
cool. I guess we'll talk about the actual thing. Yeah.
So basically, this feature was available through the full self-driving package, but a couple years ago now, Tesla fully removed ultrasonic sensors from the car.
Yeah, it's just the cameras now.
In favor of just using the cameras and their Tesla Vision approach. And at first, they didn't have a replacement for that, so there were just no parking sensors. Then they finally came up with the Vision version of it that actually does a very good job and like visualizes the whole thing. But Smart Summon has been listed as a feature of the full self-driving package, which now costs $8,000 to add to the car.
Ooh, okay.
And then it just hasn't been there on any of their newest cars. But the old cars had Smart Summon.
If I'm paying $8,000, I need some ass here, man. What's up?
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like been so delayed, but it's finally here. And there's a good video of it.
Have you tried it yet? Have you used it?
I haven't tried it yet. It came out last night.
Breaking then.
Yeah,
okay,
they're still like rolling out the update to customers.
Check out Ryan Shaw Tech, his Tesla channel, for a future review of this.
Yes, I will be trying it soon.
Yeah, I assume you're going to talk about it this week on the channel. Yeah.
But it is a very cool peek at like the future. There's been some videos of people doing it already, and it like navigates around a roundabout to come meet them. This allows you.
That's better than most humans.
Yeah.
Especially in America, man. You throw a roundabout in the middle of America, rip. Like,
yeah.
No one can navigate that.
But it allows you, like, you press and hold on the app, it'll come to you, or you can choose a destination, and it's all very short. You know, there's limitations and stuff.
That's cool.
But very cool. And this is the kind of thing, though, that kind of relates to this because of Apple and their autonomous efforts. We're seeing Tesla and this and their robotaxi supposedly going to be announced next month. And then Apple supposedly working on patents to get autonomous driving in vehicles that they are partnered with, probably through some sort of CarPlay. I love all this stuff. I'm all
That's
on
cool.
board for future autonomy, just as long as, like you've said, like we don't jump in too fast and give people reasons to hate it.
Yeah, let's do it smartly, because this is a thing that can have massive benefits. There's so many benefits to autonomous driving. Lowering of accidents, giving mobility to people who don't have it anymore, elderly or handicapped or all these kind of things. Like, great technology, I think, and a technology that's going to eventually happen.
Yeah.
But let's do it smartly. Let's roll it out right. Let's not be dumb about it.
Yeah. And then we're calling the latest version of technically the best feature that we have at this point ass.
Well, look, here's the headlines. The second that thing hits a kid in a parking lot, they're going to go, Tesla ass system destroys kid. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, you just can't do that, man.
It's ridiculous. But anyways, we on the robot side of things, which is where Apple is expected to be going in the future here, there's this family robot. I think it's Robot 1X, and there's a demo of it kind of interacting with someone. And it's a very interesting demo because it's interacting without voice. It's just kind of motioning for things and telling it like to pick up, I think it gives it a backpack or something.
It picks up a backpack.
Woman, yeah. And then they like hug at the end.
Yeah, the robot calls the woman back over to give it a hug.
Yeah. And this seems to be like dressed purposely to make it look a little less creepy, but I think it kind of has the opposite effect. But what are your thoughts on this video? Because it seems too good to me.
Fake.
Yeah.
Fake, right? It's got it like a, and if you want, so it's a robot wearing a sweatsuit, right? It's essentially like a running sweatsuit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the movements are unrobotic in a lot of ways, right? And obviously that technology exists. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but to do it in that way with that level of intelligence, we haven't really seen that.
Yeah,
right?
and that's
like,
speed.
Exactly. Like it's moving at the speed of like a high-end like Disney animatronic, like Avatar Land or something, which are like mimicking human movements, but that's doing a pre-programmed loop, you know?
I guess that could be what this is. They just completely rehearsed the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's totally right. Like it seems like for it to reason and come up with these movements, it seems a little shady. I think there's some kind of sleight of hand happening, right? Like I don't know exactly, and they just call it a demo, to be fair. So like they can fake some things and whatever. Like, but I think adding the clothes to it has a net negative effect. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It makes it too creepy. It not having a voice and just kind of like miming things also seems creepy. Whole thing seems creepy. But then I saw that I think it's like Norwegian or something. And I'm like, oh, this is very Northern European, man. Everything's very creepy up there, I think. It's just like, and I love Northern Europe. Don't get me wrong, right? But everything is like so. There's so many reasons that so many like horror movies are kind of like in that zone, right? Of like ultra tech, like Northern Europe, like Nordic styling, where everything is like a beautiful teak wood, and it's like, oh no, this is serial killer stuff. Like so, like the whole thing just seems creepy. I guess we'll see where this goes. I imagine this is another one's company that's just trying to raise money, and they're like, "Here's this demo of this thing. Here's something for you." In all the videos, like not just this one, but any they've ever released, he never walks. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's part of what's going on here. Is that like, it's not actually fully autonomous humanoid robot. It's more like someone's controlling behind the scenes, or it's doing a pre-programmed system. And it's not actually moving.
Yeah, that would make sense. But on the other side of things, for robots that do function today, Boston Dynamics this week actually used a robot in North Hollywood to pry open the door of a criminal in a house.
Yeah.
And this footage is wild.
Yeah, the LAPD used it, not Boston Dynamics. So it wasn't Boston Dynamics unleashing a robot. I was like, man, this is corporate dystopia already.
No, the LAPD utilized a Boston Dynamics robot. And it shows a few things. One, the footage of this is crazy. The speed it moves is crazy. I know that's what it is, but seeing it in an actual like urban environment,
seeing it for real, is a lot different than seeing these things in demos. Yeah.
And then it tries to open the door, but it does take a while, so it kind of shows potentially a limitation.
Well, I think it gets to a locked door, and I'm not sure how autonomous that robot's operating right there. That seems like something that someone's controlling, right? So like, I think they're at a locked door. They're trying to figure out if it's locked. You see a while. I mean, it's probably like 30 seconds or something to mess around with that door. You guys can watch the video. It messes around with the door. It can't get in. It goes to another door, opens it fairly quickly.
Yeah. Very fascinating to watch this and to think of what a future could be here. This is very Black Mirror on one side of it, but also at the same time, this, officers didn't have to risk their lives going up to that door with whatever was on the other side.
This is safer for both ends of that encounter, right? Because you look at the, I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube talking about, weapon violence or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But the, a lot of stuff happens just in that kind of, that is an incredibly dangerous time when the police are serving warrants, right? Both for the police and for the suspects, right? And we've seen people who are not suspects at all, be injured or killed in that situation because it's such like it's crazy, right? It happens so fast. There's so many weapons. There's people yelling. It's a lot of confusion. A way to fix that is just take the humans out of it, right? like don't send a bunch of nervous, humans in there with weapons. Send this robot in, right? And then it opens the door safely. It can locate the suspect, right? Which is what they're actually trying to do in this video. They're trying to figure out where they are at in that building kind of house structure thing. And then it actually, on the suspect side, they go, oh man, the cops are definitely here. They know where I'm at. Here's just this robot. Like the worst that can happen is that guy shoots at the robot, which good. I mean, he's out of bullets by the time the cops come in. The cops are less nervous. They're less likely to shoot a suspect. There's nothing but wins to this. The only kind of thing the only people who are against this are just people who are against uncomfortable military grade technology in the hands of law enforcement, which I get. I don't think cops should own tanks. Well, this thing seems like a good implementation of a technology that is, I think, going to save lives.
Absolutely. It has a crazy look and it feels weird, but
don't paint this thing black, man. It's like jet black. It looks incredible. I hate cops that wear camouflage, and I hate cops that wear all black, like as their uniforms. That's nuts. You're a civil servant thing. We're blue, man. We're blue. Like this thing should be painted bright blue.
Bright blue.
Say police real big on the side. Put a damn siren on it, even. Like then I'd be like, oh, like you see this thing and you realize what's happening, because there's also this risk of someone like if I'm a criminal and I'm sitting if I'm not a criminal, I'm just a regular dude. Maybe I'm a little high, sitting in my living room, and this robot walks in.
It's wild.
I'm probably gonna panic a little, like with this jet black robot with this weird arm. But if it's like clearly marked as a police thing, at least I have context of what's happening. So that's my tip for you, LAPD SWAT. Paint that thing blue.
We'll likely see this a lot more, and it's a very interesting vision of the future of the difference between controlled robots and fully autonomous robots, and also the difference between demos and actual real life use cases here. I don't know that we'll see Apple make a Spot robot in the future.
And I don't think we're going to see Apple making something that's breaking down SWAT doors or doors for SWAT. So,
but we are going to see a lot of autonomous products coming from them in the near future.